Hi everyone, and welcome to Human Design 101. I'm Paula Fehrmann, your host, qualified life trust coach and human design fanatic. I guide my clients to become their own experts by understanding and, more importantly, living their design. When I first came to human design, I was so overwhelmed by the triangles, squares, arrows, and numbers in the chart that I didn't touch it for more than a year. However, my human design experiment has been the most important transformation in my life, which is why I want to show you how you can use your design as a simple tool to heal, transform, integrate, grow, and ultimately become your own expert. No more looking for the experts outside of you. Keep listening and learning here on the podcast, reach out for private coaching, or book a chart reading with me. Let's talk Human Design 101.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I'm saying the podcast because this is kind of in a transitory period where Human Design 101 is transitioning into something new that has not been born yet, with more of a practical coaching focus through the lens of astrology and human design. So let's call it the pod for now. We're here together with Cristin for Accept and Reflect with Leah and Paula, my new monthly favorite. Hi, Leah. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing, I just said it to you, mentally, spiritually well, physically tired.
Okay. I bet there's people who can relate to that. 100%.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I am currently hot because I just did a workout and then I jumped into the shower and got ready quickly for this call. So feeling energized, but have been feeling a little bit slow as well over the last few years. Yeah. Maybe, who knows? Days. Okay, lots happened this month. I can't believe it's already done. I feel like we just sat here yesterday and spoke to one another. I've got a bunch of things that I'd love to speak to you about and reflect on, but let's be polite and ask, what was present for you this month? What felt like the big theme that you were working through that popped up?
Ooh, I feel like it's always the same theme for me in a different costume, but it feels like a new theme because it comes through the back door, through different people, through different situations. The theme is, for me, very often a balance of hope and surrender, creation and surrender, and having dreams, having desires, and not at the same time accepting that you have those and not letting them control you, not letting them not being in your life yet or not being fulfilled yet define you and define your worth. So very cryptic. I'm sure we're gonna get a bit more into detail, but I think that was the theme of the month for me. How about you?
Before I answer, I just want to comment on what you said, because I don't actually think it's cryptic at all. I think it's something people can relate to, because there is this struggle of, am I going to go for this Delulu idea that I have of what I want for the future? And can I hold it for long enough to not be discouraged by it? Because that's what happens in the process often. Like, we get really excited in the beginning of something and we're like, yeah, I'm doing this new thing. And then after 2 months, we might not see results yet. And then that's the point where the feet really hit the floor and we're being invited to stick to the vision and to have this feeling of, yeah, I can do this. I might not know how, but I can. Which brings me to my big theme of the month. We got together in London like a week ago or so. And on the way there, I did some journaling on the plane. I love doing that on planes. Like, on the way there and on the way back, it's like such a nice time to reflect for me. And I saw that I hadn't journaled in all of October, and I was like, wow, okay, interesting. And I reflected on what was the main learning for me this month. And something had dropped in about the difference between confidence and self-trust. And I think you might be able to relate to that too, because you're a fifth sign. And fifth lines in human design, we get projected on, and people see us and they're like, oh, you guys can do this, which, if we can, leads to a lot of confidence, I think. I think in the areas that we are confident in, we come into the world and we are like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. It's just like this external projection of strength and standing up tall and having maybe a positive attitude and this like can-do problem-solving feeling. And then on the other side, so that's the external thing. And then on the other side, there's self-trust. And that's the internal thing. That's this idea of like, oh, I'm going to be okay even if I can't do it, or I trust myself to figure it out and to hold myself through it. And it's interesting because usually you say self-trust leads to confidence. But I think for me, it's the other way around. I have a lot of confidence, that outward projection of, you guys, we can do this. I can be this person for you, and I can kind of lead the group or someone to somewhere. But where I struggle or where I have more learning to do is this self-trust, this like inner softness of, oh, it's okay even if you don't figure it out. And that has given me like a mega boost, because I was approaching situations with the idea of like, I don't want to be shaken in my confidence, which is kind of rigid, right? It's kind of like if someone is bringing something to me and that is challenging my idea of how I approach the world, and I feel like I need to hold on to my confidence, I'm already like breaking in this moment. But if I can soften into, oh, let's look at this perspective and what this person is bringing in, and this idea of like, I trust myself to then choose from the different options that I've been presented with, even if it's not the original thing that I was quote unquote confident in, that's like a whole new level. And so this is like what I've been playing with this month, and it feels like mind blowing. And it's crazy because like people might be listening and might be like, yeah, whatever. I remember even asking you, do you know the difference between Selbstbewusstsein and Vertrauen in German, which is, I guess confidence or self-consciousness, but no, that doesn't translate well.
It's a bit, I feel German is so specific that confidence for me is Selbstvertrauen, because Selbstbewusstsein is self-awareness.
Yeah.
You're aware of maybe what you are confident about, and maybe you're also aware about what you're not confident about. And that is the awareness. But if you don't have acceptance that comes with that awareness, then it doesn't translate into confidence or self-trust. Because you have the awareness to see the areas that you may be lacking or you may want to improve, but then you need to have that compassion and that, no, it's okay. And I think that's what confident people do really well. For a very long time, I thought that confident people, they're maybe not always self-aware. Because they're like, oh, if you're just not looking at the areas where you're lacking, like, oh, maybe I'm like, they just don't know what they don't know yet. They just don't, that's why they're so confident. And that can be the case. And at the same time, it comes with a lot of self-acceptance. Yeah, I know I'm not the best at this, but I'm going to give it a go. It's okay. My self-worth doesn't get defined over how good I'm doing something when I'm doing it for the first time. It's about the persistence and the consistency and my trust in myself that I'm gonna stick with this and I'm gonna get good at this. And at the same time, pulling out when you feel, is not, there's nothing in it for me. So yeah, I don't know why I just jumped in, but something wanted to come through.
No, I love that.
Yeah, I it's so interesting because for me, in the beginning when I learned about human design and also astrology, I had this Anspruch. What is the word for it in English?
Can you give me the rest of the sentence? Then I might be able to give you the word. You had the, I guess, aim? No.
Yeah, I had the I set ich hatte den Anspruch an mich selber.
You had a high expectation towards
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah, I think that's it, but it's not like fully, but
No.
it doesn't matter. I had the expectation for myself that, oh, you're gonna read this and then you immediately know what it is about, and then you can teach it. Or not even teach it, but then you just have the information. But the process of, at least for me, is a third line. And the reason why I'm saying this is because the realization that you had for me is like the realization of what it means to be a 5-1 with need motivation, not fear motivation. And so when you learn something new, it goes first in the head, in the mind, and then I call it's head information. But unless the information wanders, it kind of trickles down from the head into the body, where it then becomes a habit. It gets integrated into your everyday life. It's not your information yet, because the moment that it's in your head, it's coming from the outside. But you need to marinate it, you need to infuse it with your own perspectives, with your own flavor and sense. And that's what happens when it moves from the head into the body. And you explaining, first of all, the 5-1 constantly gets projected on that you're confident that you got this, that that you can save this. And the first line, which is your body, is constantly saying, do I really? I don't know. I mean, thanks for the trust and for the invitation. But I need to actually go through the experience with my body, and I need to feel like I can carry myself through this expectation. And then not focusing on every little detail as the fear motivation mind would do, but focusing on what's actually needed here. And then trusting that what is needed is the thing that is gonna help you fulfill the projection, even if that may not look like you had thought it would look. I had a situation, I think last week, when I was it happened before, but the kind of move from the mind to the body happened only a few days ago. I had a situation with a friend where we both ended up setting a boundary. And it was like a really nice way of doing it. So that was all good. And then later on, I saw that there was a post about it on social media. And then this old story came back up because this person then seemed to have like a huge upgrade, a huge up level. And then I was like, oh man, like I feel like, what was the story? Oh, everyone is moving on. Everyone is just finding their thing and like stepping into their power. And it always happens when I let something go, I set a boundary, or they're released from me. Something like that, like they have an interaction with me, then there is a, hey, no, I don't want this, like that. And then they have a huge breakthrough. Like that's also the relationship pattern that I have, this making the bond, breaking the bond, and then there's a huge upgrade for them. And then the story was, I only give people the upgrade once I leave. Like I want to also, be still part of the process. And there was a lot of ego around that. And I was sitting on the toilet today. I was like Why?
Love that detail.
Why can you not see it from a different angle and say, hey, you're so powerful that even when you break a connection, there's still a lot of growth happening. That's your power. My ego doesn't have to be involved in it, I don't have to be like witnessing it. The gift is the upgrade, whether I'm in it or not, and the friendship isn't over, it's not, that's not the issue. But these are the moments that sometimes, I have an idea over how I want to facilitate a change in someone, but I have no control over how it happens, when it happens. And that's also, I think, with the fifth line, with what you explained, like it happens how it needs to happen.
Yeah. And also, I think from what you're sharing, in the beginning you said, oh, what's the story around this? And it is really just a story, because like you're impacting personally me all the time without any bond being broken. So I think we're having impacts in ways that we don't realize. Like I remember when I left London and I was like, oh my God, you guys, I'm leaving in 3 days. Bye-bye, basically, to all of my clients that I couldn't see then anymore, at least for like in person. And suddenly there was this huge outpour of, oh my God, I'm so grateful you have impacted me in this, in that way. And it came out because I left. That's when they felt the need to communicate it. But I wasn't aware of it because it was just me being me, impacting people in all sorts of ways. And the same thing is, what you're doing. That's one of, I know a shared value of the both of us, like effectively being paid for being yourself, impacting people by just expressing your energy in the way that you were designed to be, and to make it less fluffy. Like, what do we mean by saying your energy? Or just, yeah, you can boil it down to, let's call it the vibe that you bring.
The flavor.
Yeah, the way you make people smile, the gifts that you have, the way that you listen, the way that you talk, the perspectives you bring, the questions that you ask. There's so many ways in which you're even just having a conversation with someone, they're saying something, and the look that you give them when it lands in you, because it triggers something in you, even that can impact someone. Like there's so many ways that we're not aware of. And I know that you know this, but for you and for the listeners, like think about the ways that you're impacting people that you might not be aware of, because this is like a really good way to boost confidence.
Yeah, becoming aware of the value that you bring even without doing anything. And I don't know about you, but for me at least, the moment that I, first of all, like for me it was a long journey to having the awareness how I impact the world, and based on that, how I can maybe add value. And then there's another layer of like, okay, how can you monetize this? Because we all live in a world where we need to make money from this. And again, the theme comes in there again. You become aware of a skill that you have, of an aura, of a presence. And then how can you not swing too much into on the capitalistic side of everything that I do needs to be capitalized, while still being aware that certain gifts of you are gonna make you money, and if you give them away for free, and this is a projector thing because the way that we make money is with our awareness, and shared awareness happens in a conversation. As you said, it happens by looking at someone. It's like your presence alone is the session. That's what people pay for. And so when I got into that like whole coaching sphere and giving sessions, and I worked with business coaches, then it becomes this you become the product, And then it's so easy to just be like, oh, everything that I do needs to be mentally planned. Everything. And I think that's also what I actually called myself back on this a few days ago as well. I mean, I send out a lot of prayers and then the clarity just comes. Some in especially in astrology, people use astrology to predict the future. Not everyone, but you can do that, and you can do that very well. I notice for myself that when I focus too much on looking at, oh, what trends is going to hit, like what's going to happen at that place, I leave my body and I go in the head, and I mentalize my life and I try to plan it. And then I pay too much. Then I'm always, when I'm speaking, I'm in the bird's perspective. How does this come across? And then you become almost too self-aware. And the real magic is, I believe you have to go through one side of the extreme in order to find the middle ground.
Absolutely.
Same goes for diet. I'm super grateful I had the diet journey that I did, but now I'm like, okay, I know about human design, I know about astrology, and I'm using it in the moments that I need empowerment. But if I want to be mentally sure about something, oh, it's going to happen exactly that, I don't want to use it for that. But the moments that you feel down, that you feel, oh, maybe you don't see your light, it's such helpful tools that you can use. But please don't use it in a way. I mean, you can use it in however way you want to do it. But for me, it really helps me to just remember to be.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk, laugh, do whatever you want to do. And trust that that's the medicine.
Yeah. And I think that's so, like, that is so important because I think it was like about maybe like 2 years ago when I heard someone say this, like, do you want external control or inner certainty? And it kind of needs to come back to that, because I catch myself doing that all the time, and I see friends and clients, I see everybody do it, especially in the spiritual community. When we're feeling uncertain, what we like, so many people reach for, oh, let's pull some cards. Let's look at the future. Let's look at the transits. Let's look at the forecast. Let's find a reason why I'm experiencing what I'm experiencing right now. And there's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But I think if it's coming from this place of fear and graspy energy, it's not gonna get us there. It's like when I fear a situation where I believe that I've been, like, my abandonment wound has been triggered and I believe that I'm being left behind, it's not going to be satisfying for me to then reach out and ask that person, hey, have you actually abandoned me? Because that's just like a little plaster on the deep wound. I want to be able to get to a place where I can regulate myself through that. And so, same thing, like, use tarot and astrology and HD for fun, for empowerment, for being reminded of your light. But I would personally refrain from going there if you're in a place of lack and fear, which leaves us and our listeners with the question, and I think it'd be fun for us to share what we do. What do you do when you're in a place of lack and fear? Like, what do you do to get out of it, to help yourself feel better if it's not reaching for these things? You want to share?
Yeah, I think it starts with having full acceptance. Okay, it's happening. I'm feeling anxious. I don't feel that I'm scared I will never reach the goals that I want to reach. Just accepting whatever is alive. And then what I do really often is I start talking to the universe. And some people call it praying. I call it sending out orders. I just have conversations out loud where I'm asking questions about the things that I'm unclear, uncertain about. And one of my favorite, I mean, this is because I want to become aware and I want to understand it. And I ask, what am I not seeing? Where am I not looking? What do I need to know in order to change my perspective into an empowered perspective? What do I need to know in order to let go that's no longer serving me? And I do this every time the fear comes up again. And then I just stay present. And over the next days or maybe weeks, it's like little raindrops with solutions, with clarity that get planted or that fall into my mind. And then you told me a story about your relationship with your mom. Boom, clarity. I see a post on Instagram, clarity. And like everything that is unclear gets answered through the people that are in my field, in my network. And that's how I change my perspective. And then I'm like, oh my God, wow, I see it now. It can be super simple like that. Sometimes, of course, I do sessions. We talked about this in the last episode, but that's a super, I really like using that method, the praying, the talking to the universe.
Yeah.
What do you do when you when you need the fear soothed or you want to have a different perspective?
It depends on the severity of the fear. I think usually I start out with same to you. I'm like, okay, this is happening. I'm gathering awareness of what part of me is feeling that, because I think the biggest problem is in the moment it feels like it's all of you. Like I am experiencing this fear, and usually it is just a part. And then you can go look into, okay, what does that part need? Can I hold it? Can I just let it feel that for a moment? And I go into that for a little while. And if everything is going well, then after a little while, I'll be able to focus on something easy that I like doing. That will usually be cooking or preparing a meal or moving my body or breathing. Something that is very simple but gives me some focus and that I love to shift back into the frequency of all is well, focus on what's right in front of you, and come back to the moment. If it is more severe and I can't get myself through it, I will reach out to someone, friend, parents, whatever, and we'll be like, hey, my master has left the building. Can I borrow yours? Can you please take care of my temple, because I am struggling here right now? And that usually helps too. Yeah.
That's interesting because I wonder if for you the cure to the anxiety is connection.
Mm. Yeah, self-worth. Yeah, I need motivation. And then for you,
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
For me, it's trust. Because the reason I mean, I don't know if I told you this, but in the beginning of the year, I was in Bali and I was sub-renting my apartment in Amsterdam. And then my rental company basically sent me an email. They sent me a few emails, but I just didn't see it. Like, hey, we want to know like who's in your apartment. I wasn't allowed to rent it out. And they wanted answers and they were like, yeah, we've been messaging you since 2 months and you haven't replied. I'm like, oh my God, fuck. Instant anxiety attack. Like I was full splenic, like hyperventilating. And in those moments, I need to speak with someone that is in the frequency of trust and also very rational. Hey, it's okay. These are the steps. That's just laying it out for me, like without like blaming me, without shame, just like a parent.
Yeah, I was
But
thinking.
yeah, like a dad usually. I mean, I don't want to put genders to it, but most of the time for me, that's the energy of my dad. And then just, okay, what have you done? What do they want? How can we break this down into action steps? And that for me gives me the feeling of trust and okay, I can calm down and then I don't feel I just feel like it's feasible. I can get through this.
Seeing, like, you remember I shared this with you a while ago. It's here Wegmachbarkeit. So having a goal, seeing the way, and feeling like it's doable. When those 3 steps are there, we're good.
Yeah. But if you don't see it, in the moment where you get confronted with something, you're like,
Too close to the project. Like that's kind of what I described. The fear is taking over. You're not seeing that it's just a part of you. The part is so scared, it becomes all of you. And you're, for a moment, stepping out of the ability to be your own parent. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's and for me, knowing what I need in these moments helps me so much to go to the right person.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm talking to someone who doesn't give me the trust, who doesn't have the ability to give me the steps or the calmness, because they have a different design, they have a different purpose, I feel even more anxious. I feel even more sad or hopeless or helpless also. And and what also then comes up is like I get really angry. Why do you not see me? Why do you not know what I need? And then I remind myself, hey, different people have a different flavor. If you know what you need, just go to a person that has the flavor that you need. And that's why I love the human design motivations, because it has helped me so much to identify what thoughts are actually goal from like supportive and what thoughts are just blocking me and keeping me in an empowered state. And yeah, it's
Little plug, little plug for your. I mean, I don't know when it's going to be coming out. Whether we'll be sharing it in these show notes or in the show notes of the next podcast. But Leah is soon to be releasing something where she goes into detail about motivations. Do you want to speak a little bit about it yourself? I think you can do it better than me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna launch 2 things. One is it's basically a manifestation course that helps you to set realistic goals in alignment with the theme of your year, which we're gonna get from astrology, and also with your human design motivation. Because if you're writing down goals that are coming from misaligned thoughts, nothing is misaligned. Like everything can be there, but you can have thoughts that make you feel empowered and make you feel like, okay, if I believe these thoughts, reaching the goal is actually gonna come so natural to me, versus if I listen to these other kinds of thoughts, it's just gonna feel like a drag. It's gonna feel like I have to sell my soul just to reach that goal. And then very often we just throw the towel in the ring and we go, I don't want it. When it may just be a matter of perspective and how you approach it. So that's one thing. It's called Hopeful Spells. And that's something that's a workshop, a manifestation ritual I do every year at the end of the year. It's called also, we take into account the Rauhnächte, which if you're German, you probably, or you don't know what it means, but there's a special energetic window at the end of the year between Christmas and the 6th of January. And that's where a lot of energies are available for us to tap into. And we can actually hand over quite a lot of goals to the universe, and then the universe will take care of it. And you just have to take care of one. And that just feels nice. It's just one goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm like giggling to myself as we're speaking about this, because I was thinking if a not woo-woo person would listen to woo-woo people speak about special energies, and they would be like, is there a time of the year when there's not a special energetic window open for something?
It's true. It's always there. I think it's just a matter of, I feel also like in the time between Christmas and New Year, it's just
Special.
you're reflecting so much. What do I want my next year to be? What do I want to focus on? I personally don't like normal goal setting because it just feels right. It has to be personalized.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically what that's gonna be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
Nice. What is there anything else that you because you had a big month you went from Lisbon back to London, where you used to live. You had your birthday, which means you also shifted from a completely new theme of the year into the next one. You're now in your relationship year. How is there anything that you reflected there and had to accept? You want to
Yeah.
share?
Yeah, definitely. So, like, it was funny because obviously people were asking me, how do you feel about going back to London? Most people in my close or even not so close circle know that I have moved from London to Lisbon, and I had to tell everybody that I'm, going back to London because, organizing cover for work, blocking the week out for myself. Everybody kind of knew. And because of that, people were asking, how do you feel about going back? And my answer was like, yeah, I'm excited. And I feel like it's going to be a wrap up of something. Like my idea was like, maybe I go back and I feel like, oh, actually, I have idealized London in my mind. And actually, it's, not so great after all. And no. That was kind of the story that I had. I thought I was going to go back and it would feel like done in a sense that I'm like getting a realistic view of the city, not living there anymore. And what happened, but like it was a wrap up, definitely, but it's so different. It was hilarious actually, because I arrived, I went to see you for brunch right away. And as soon as I arrived, there was this feeling, it felt like my whole body exhaled. Like I went on on the tube, I went on the bus on a tube, I got to where we met and everything around me just felt so familiar, and it made my system feel so at ease. Like it's such different energy to Lisbon, and that's really cool for me to be able to feel that in comparison as well. Because Lisbon, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it feels like a lot to me. Which is very personal because I know that loads of people come here and they're like, oh my God, I love the energy. It's so sunny and calm. And to me, it doesn't feel like that. Whereas there are a lot of people who would not describe London like an exhale.
Like me.
Yeah, exactly. So arriving there, feeling like at ease, having brunch with you, having a good chat, and then I, met my mom and we went out for dinner and so on and so forth. Next day was my birthday. And the dinner already was like, and I wasn't feeling so great. It felt like a lot. And then the next day I wake up feeling nauseous with a fever, looking into the mirror, looking super pale. And I kind of never really get that sick. Like I might have something that I carry a little bit, but I don't get sick. So, okay, it's my birthday and we're sick. What do we do? I'm like, we have these plans. I want to go see my friends. I'm going to go see my friends anyway. I'll be fine, And I go see you guys for brunch and it gets like so bad that I have to leave and I have to go home. And I basically spent the whole day in bed sleeping, like dead asleep. And I think the big lesson came, first of all, through accepting that this is really different from what I had planned. And that's making me really sad. And that allowed me then to feel the sadness, which was not just the sadness of, oh, plans have changed. It was the sadness and the anger and the fear of feeling like I was being kicked out of the country, which I wasn't. It was my decision to go, but there was a flavor of feeling like there's no other choice. Which
I had exactly the same with Amsterdam, and it's like someone broke up with you because they don't love you anymore, and you're like, what?
I'm like, this is my home. This is my place where I belong. And now you're telling me I can't be here anymore, which just felt incredibly devastating. But I didn't allow myself to feel that because I was in the mood of like, okay, this is what we're working with. We're accepting it. We're moving on. We're moving forward. And that's what I needed to do at the time. But there was a layer of intensity that hadn't been felt. And going back, and my system going back into the environment that feels like home to me, where I know everything, where I go to the supermarket and I know what products I like, where I go to the supermarket and I know that I will see all of the products that I need and I can choose from them. And I don't have to go to 5 different ones or, walking through Portugal asking myself, where do I find harissa or curry paste? And why is there no edamame or frozen blueberries? First world problems. But these things make me feel at ease. I own it. And so that bringing me to a place where my body feels safe enough to feel. And it was really, really beautiful for me to let myself feel that. So many people reached out and said, oh, I'm so sorry that you're sick. And I was in a place where I was like, okay, I actually feel really grateful that this can happen now because it clearly needed to be felt. And I'm really glad that I have the time and the space to do that. So, yeah, big story.
You know what they say, that kids behave a certain percentage worse when they're with the parents than when they're somewhere else. And then they say it's because they feel safe to throw the tantrum, cry, whatever it is they want to release. Or like the moment that you pick your child up from kindergarten and they see you and they immediately start crying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because they are sad to see you, but it's because they can exhale. They can let out everything they've been holding on the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, London is on your moon IC line. So it's the home for your emotions. You don't have to keep it together here. It's safe for you to let it out.
Yeah, and that actually was hilarious too, because, when we look at astrocartography, we can click on the places and there's like a little description on the side. And the description for London said, this is a great place for therapy sessions. And then, and my 3 years in London, I was doing so much inner work, so much, so much. And when I left, I stopped doing EMDR therapy. And I was like, you know what? It feels like I'm done looking backwards and into the past and just going into the emotions all the time. It just didn't feel aligned anymore in Germany, nor in Lisbon, because the frequency of the place was different. It's so hilarious that I hadn't really remembered that or computed that. But as soon as I left, there was this feeling of, no, I'm done with therapy. I am good. Like, I'm truly good. I don't need to look back. I want to look forward. And so funny to go back and it immediately being activated again, like all the going in and let's reflect.
It's also so interesting to, again, like, I am not a huge fan of looking at all of the places in the world, like check with the map and like mentalize this whole process. But if you have a call, your intuition is like, why don't you go there? If you like, then you can check, or you can check after you left to reflect on the past. It also depends on your design. I'm a very much, my mind reflects on the past once it's happened. But I had exactly the same. Like, Amsterdam for me is on my Neptune and Sea line. The moment that I get there, I have Neptune in my Sun gate and in 5 other places, and it kind of blurs. It makes everything distorted. It felt like I was looking on my life and on my mission through a fishbowl. And I could see it, but not really grasp it. And so I would lose my drive and my stamina and like my determination, because I was like, what am I determined for? Like, what do I want to achieve? It was very good. Like, I got a huge call to live in Amsterdam. I had to be there for my spiritual awakening. I did ayahuasca there for the first time. And I had to be taken out of the German mindset and completely be like everything removed that I believed in. And then once I had my new belief system, I wanted to achieve and create the life that I wanted to create. And for that, I needed more clarity. And then that's dream, fantasy, spiritual energy was no longer aligned. And it's like every place, just like every person activates something inside of you. It brings up a new desire. I never thought that I wanted kids. Then I went to Bali, which is my relationship line. I'm like, do I? So yeah, it's a really, really helpful tool that if you feel stuck, especially if you're an open G center like you, change your environment, meet with new people, like just get new impulses, and you will get to know yourself in a different light, and that will help you to redirect.
Yeah.
But I would love to know, coming back to London and knowing what the tarot lady said to you, that you will for sure end up living in the UK again.
Mhm.
Was that the feeling that you left the city with?
Yeah, it felt like I closed a chapter somehow. It was like, this is done for now. But it didn't feel done. Like, it did not feel, the idea that I had that, I'm going to get a realistic view of the city. Or yes, maybe. I came back and was like, I love this. I love being here. That was what was anchored in again. And so, yeah, I have got a feeling that eventually, maybe like in a few years or in a decade, who knows, I'm going to end up there again. I don't let life take care of how. But yeah, there's a feeling of, oh, this is a really special place for me. Like, not just being in London, but being in the English countryside, the connection, like even people there, even my mum felt it. She was so sweet. My mum speaks rudimentary English. And what she loved was like, it's so sweet how everybody says like, take care when they say bye or darling or love. There's such like, high frequency in the language. And it's being said so like it's just part of what you say, or bless them or things like that. But it's so,
True. They say bless you. Oh, bless you, my dear.
yeah.
Thanks, love.
Yeah.
It's true.
And even if it's just like done in an unaware way, it's still going to be different than what we know from German language. And that's what I always say when I go back to Germany. I need to work harder. I need to be more conscious of how I express myself, because the language it's not part of the habits there to say things like that.
Oh, that's so true. And also things like, I love that. I would never say that in German.
No. And people listening might be like, what? And we're like, yeah, it's just
and that's a huge aspect, I feel, that helps you in choosing a place that you want to live in. And that's also what Heather, our Akashic record
lady.
lady said to me, because I was asking, what do you see, like where do I need to be? And then I gave her a few options, and then she said, and that's what I love about her, she's very practical. I never take notes, and I listened to the recording and I took notes and I did the exercises, and I was like, what the fuck, that's really not me. I'm a very third line, I just, yeah, whatever. And she said, pay attention to the way that people are in that environment. What are the values? How do they interact with each other? And when you said like about the language, English language, I was immediately thinking about, you have need motivation. You're a Libra rising, Libra sun. You have a Libra Mercury. Is your Venus also in Libra? Or is it Virgo? Virgo. But anyway, a Venus Libra loves to talk in harmony. They love to create harmony with their words. So obviously, if you're in a place that aligns with how you naturally speak, it's so much easier to be yourself. And that's how, people always say, oh, you're running away. No, you're realigning. if a plant doesn't grow, you put it on a different window. You maybe change the soil. And that's exactly what we can do by relocating. And I know it's a privilege. And there's many, many steps you can take without actually having to move. But that gave me so much inspiration, don't just look for the place, but what is the culture in that place? And my Mercury is in Sagittarius. I like sassy. I like a little bit of banter. The English do that as well. I loved that. I was thriving. I also lived in London after I graduated. And for me, this was also the first time I went back after I lived there. Maybe I went back before, but it was probably like 10 years ago. And for me, it was a closure, like complete closure. Like back when I lived there, I was drinking alcohol. I don't know, I was just not that sensitive to the fast-paced everything. And now I was just so overwhelmed. I loved Hampstead Heath and like the suburbs. Oh my God, beautiful, gorgeous. And what you said, the countryside, England, it's so many people underestimate it, but it has such gorgeous nature. And it's, I don't know, like even though people, especially in London, are stressed, they're still super friendly because of the culture, because of the language. Yes, there's an element of people pleasing also involved because they beat around the bush. They're like, would you mind? And I'm like, just what do you want? My Mercury in Sagittarius, like, get to the point. But I feel like that perspective has helped me so much to reflect, true. Is that a culture that aligns with my values, with how I want to show up?
Yeah, with speaking about, where to move and going to different places, and kind of every place you go, you're getting more clear on what is it that I want. It's like you might experience something that you don't like, and it helps you be clear on what you do like. For example, me being in Lisbon, I'm like, I like walkable places. Lisbon doesn't feel so walkable to me. London does. And you're getting this inspiration from Heather about the culture and the people and the values. What else is important for you if you think about your place?
We talked about this before, the sense of possibility. I like a mix of spiritual entrepreneurship. So, your markets, you like to exchange skills, and I'm valleys. And I really like where there is a good balance of people coming with lots of aspirations and then wanting to create something out of these aspirations, but not with the classical, corporate mindset, but maybe there can be a humanitarian influence, or it can be, I just want there to be a soul in it. So it doesn't look like, like lab coffee, where it's, oh, what works well? Oh, let's just get a bunch of investors and do that and like milk the shit out of it. And then we put up a lot of franchises. For me, that's really important. I obviously I'm a Capricorn Sun in North Node and MC and a lot of other placements. I want to achieve certain things in my life, but not at the cost of losing my integrity and my humanness. And that's why when I first came to Bali, I found exactly that. It was the people that just wanted to break out of the normal programming. They came with a lot of aspirations. They were working remote. I first went there in 2020 or 2021 during Corona. And for me, I always felt like the alien everywhere because I, believe in holistic healing and human design and all of these things. And then I arrived and was like, I don't even have to explain. They're like, yeah, body-mind connection. Ah, okay. I'm like, what? You're not even questioning me? And it just made me feel home. And it gave me so much hope and trust that you can live a different life. And I think that's really important for me in a place. And I also realized that if the place is too big and too oversaturated, yes, there is a like, for example, in London, there's a huge gap for these spiritual things because you need it in cities like that. But for me, it's I don't know. I need a little bit more the casual setting, and that's, I think, the difference between markets and the valleys. Um, but yeah, just a sense of wonder. Like, when you're in a nightclub, in an electronic nightclub, everything is dark. Maybe there's some like fog in the air, and you walk in, you're like, you can feel the anticipation. You can feel everyone is so excited for their DJ, for maybe the love stories that are gonna come about out of this evening. Maybe the friendships that are gonna bond deeper, and that feeling of anything is possible, and we're gonna do it together. We're all in this experience together. I love that.
Yeah. And it makes so much sense with you being valleys, right? It's after all a landscape and not a hardscape. And so we have our hardscapes that are the urban environments, and then the landscapes that are the more non-urban, let's call it that, environment. And I think valleys is still the closest. It's like the bridge, I think, between both, because you do need to have your pulse on the finger on the pulse of the world. You do need the exchange and the possibilities and everybody coming in and the air being rich with possibilities, whilst also having your place to
Great.
to retreat. Yeah, totally. And then I think we can question generally like how urban is okay even for the urban or for the hardscapes, because have we pushed how do you say that? Have we pushed the baby out with the bathwater when we look at London? Is it like all the big cities? Is it like, have humans gone a little bit too crazy? Is this what people meant when they were speaking about hardscapes? Because even I going there, like I still need like Hampstead Heath. I still need like the places to retreat, because the city in itself can be, yes, it feels like an exhale, but I'm not denying that there is like an intensity and a buzz, especially of the like nervous system. If we look at the social nervous system, it's probably very dysregulated.
Yeah. I think there needs a revolution also for urban places in the world, and with everything there is authenticity, but there's also layers of fear that created something. So I think it's probably both. And as you said, even though your markets, you still need, it depends on the other aspects in your chart. You have a lot of openness, a lot of open windows where energy can come in. Maybe that's why I enjoy more the urban valleys, because I have a lot of definition. And maybe that's why I can, like tolerate it a bit better. But I, and also it's good that you say that, because I don't, again, it's, there's a lot of people, like Christfluencers coming up on TikTok right now. And I I observe that with a lot of curiosity, because I'm hope. I like to believe in something. But for me, it needs to come with integrity. And if someone is preaching and it just sounds like the next person, I'm like, where's your own voice in this? Where's your own twist with this? And where was I going with this? I think I lost my train of thoughts. Why was I starting in the first place?
I was talking
Oh
about.
yeah, I know. So that's like, then they find Christianity, they start believing in God and Jesus, and then what they do is they take the Bible literally, and they translate everything black and white into their lives. And there, I also want to remind everyone, it's the same with human design. It's the same with astrology. Take the inspiration, take the nudge, and make it your own. Don't let someone else's thoughts become your prison as to what you can do with your life. Adopt it if it feels good. If it doesn't, leave it.
Yes. I think this is a great note to wrap up today. Thank you so much. You guys, we will sit with you here again, same time next month. And it's already going to be end of November. Exciting. And we're all going to be manifesting with Leah's hopeful spells.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here today and listening along to Human Design 101 with me, your host, Paula Fehrmann. I trust that you received exactly what you needed from today's episode, and I love how the universe matched us today. If you enjoy listening and learning with me, please leave a review wherever you are listening to this podcast so that more people can unlock their true selves and ultimately become who they were meant to be using human design. Until next time, lots of love and bye-bye.